Hello, welcome to Touchstone Life Fitness. My name is Sam. Today's class is an all levels Hatha yoga practice. So we'll be moving through a steady paced flow, kind of spending a little bit more time in each pose. If you're not used to or familiar with a Hatha yoga practice, we tend to hang out in poses a little bit longer than, let's say, a vinyasa class where we're constantly moving in and out of shapes. So as we do that, really our intention in the practice is to keep the awareness level high and to also spend time getting to know ourselves in each shape and getting to know how each shape feels for us. And also building some strength, some endurance, and some active flexibility while we hold these poses. So with that said, before we start, have a couple of blocks handy, maybe a yoga blanket. Those are the only two props that we may need for today's practice. And if you don't have yoga blocks specifically, you can always use some books and stack them, or you can use shoe boxes too. That's a really great at-home prop. Yeah, so the class is all levels, and really all that means is that there will be something for all the levels of practice about, right? There isn't really any need to push ourselves into things, and we want to make sure we're not forcing ourselves when we practice, especially when we get to some of the things that for us feel more advanced. So really listen to your body, take breaks whenever you need. You're in the comfort of your own home, and take the modifications if that's what's feeling right today, right? Absolutely no shame. Modifications are an awesome part of the yoga practice. Yeah, so let's get ourselves started. We're going to meet in an easy cross-legged position, one leg or one foot rather in front of the other. You can overlap them, or you can start in lotus pose if that's part of your practice. Now, when you go to sit down, let's check in and make sure that the hips are a little bit higher than the knees, which for some of us might be happening, for some of us may not. An easy way to get the hips a little bit higher is to use your folded blanket or your block to set up in your seat. I'm going to use the blanket for today. Just to elevate the hips a little bit, which helps us create some space between the thighs, in the hip sockets, and then the lower back also gets a little bit more room so that we're not potentially sitting into it. All right, so elevate your hips as much as you need to, use whatever prop you have, and let's begin by placing the hands somewhere over the knees. Maybe the palms are up, maybe they're down. And start to draw the shoulders back in line with the hips. Relax the shoulders down the back and move your earlobes slightly back on top of the shoulders. Let's close the eyes, make them heavy, but soften the skin around your eyes. And just start to bring your awareness inward. No need to change anything about your breath, no need to change anything about your seat. Let's just start to pay attention to ourselves. Start to bring your awareness down at the base of the body first, tuning into any sensation in the feet, settling any energy in the feet, and moving the awareness from the feet up the ankles into the lower legs and knees. Checking into the thighs and the hips and pelvic space, grounding a little bit more into your seat, even just by relaxing the energy in that space. Draw an awareness to the belly space and the lower spine. Keep traveling upward toward the ribs, the middle of the back, the sides of the body. Bringing awareness to the chest space, the heart deep within the body, and the back of the heart, shoulders, the shoulder blades, softening any tension here. Bringing awareness to the heads of the shoulders and down the arms into the hands and fingers. With this awareness, we offer a little bit more settling in these spaces as well. Trickle the awareness back up into the throat, relaxing the throat. Find the very bottom back of your skull. Feel sensation there. And then move that awareness up through the back of the head to the top of the head. And imagine a little string pulling the top of your head straight up, lightly. Maybe the spine feels a little bit longer. Stay tall, and then follow the awareness from the top of the head forward over the forehead, over the front of the face, until you find the tip of your chin. Now that we're fully in our bodies, ready to practice, let's start to deepen the breath. Just finding your breath moving in and out of your nose. Please feel for your inhales, moving the belly forward, the sides of the body out wider, and the back of the body into a light inflation as well. And feel the exhale draw all of that back in. On your next inhale, feel for all of that. Belly, sides, and back feel full as you inhale, but then follow that breath up into the ribs and take in a little bit more air, expanding your ribs, puffing up your chest, lifting the heart. And as you exhale, go slow, lengthen the exhale. And don't cut the exhale short, go all the way to the bottom, which might feel longer than usual. We'll do that a few more times. Inhale, fill the belly, widen the sides of the body, expand the ribs, lift the chest. And as you exhale, go slow out of the nose. Find the very bottom of the exhale. Make your exhale feel a little longer than usual. And do that one more time, inhaling fully. Abdomen full, ribs full, chest and clavicle feeling lifted and widened. Exhaling out of the nose, all the way out. And then come back to a natural breath, which isn't as long and isn't as what we think of as deep or full. And bring the palms together in front of the heart for prayer. Connecting to maybe why we're here in this practice right now. And welcoming in an intention or a theme for today's practice, which is to move consciously and confidently. This is our reminder for the practice. This is the energetic theme that we are connecting to today. With every move that we make, may we be conscious, aware, and may we be confident. Let's begin our practice fully by sounding one Om together. We can chant this internally or vocally. Please exhale the breath out of the nose first. Inhale deeply through the nose. Gently release your hands and blink your eyes open. And then if you are sitting on top of a prop, you're going to go ahead and stay in that seat here. And go. Let's start by placing the right hand down on the mat on the right side of your body. Lift your left arm up so that your bicep is next to your ear. Root your left hip. Take a breath in through the nose. Keep the left side of the body expanded, and then as you exhale, just lean slightly to your right side. Still breathing in and out of the nose. Let's keep the left bicep in line with the left ear as much as possible. It's okay if it's more forward than that. And then spread your fingers wide on the left hand. Draw the shoulders down on the back, which might feel like a little bit of work. And let's lower the ribs into the body. Less falling over, less compressing the ribs, and more engaging the sides of the waist. On your next inhale, come all the way back up. Lower your left hand down onto your left side. Pause for a moment. Start to reach your right arm up. Bend your left elbow and lean slightly to your left. Doesn't have to be very deep. As we open up the right side of the body, maybe noticing if this side feels different from the other. Check in with the right hip and stay rooted down on the right side as you contract through the left side of the body to open the right side of the body. Let's take one more breath in and out of the nose here. On your next inhale, press yourself back up and lower the right hand down. Start to move your left hand to your right knee. Move your right hand back behind your hip. I like to use the fingertips, but your palm flat is totally fine. Stay steady in your seat. Lift up through each vertebra toward the top of the head. Let's pause here before going any further. Take a deep breath in through your nose. And as you exhale, twist maybe a little bit more to the right, but you don't really have to go much deeper. We're going to spend a couple more breaths here. All right, soften the sides of your waist, soften your back body, soften your belly. On an inhale, come back through center, switch sides. Right hand to your left knee, step your left hand back. And as soon as you do that, you're already starting to twist and turn. Root your seat down, pause here. On your next inhale, lengthen upward. Exhale, twist more to the left if more feels right. And just keep in mind, it's the beginning of the practice. Okay, notice your shoulders and pull them out of your peripheral vision. Any tension around the torso, let's soften it. Outer body soft, so that we can get our body to cooperate. On your next inhale, come back through center. Reach both arms up toward the sky. Keep your hands pretty wide. Let's take them a little bit wider than the shoulders, spreading the fingers apart. Notice if your shoulders are lifted, pull them down the back, and imagine spinning your biceps backwards. Yeah? Okay, we're going to keep this. Bring the hands together, interlace all of the fingers, and start turning the palms up. Now, here you can either keep your elbows bent, which for some of us may be as far as we go. You can start to straighten your arms more and more and more and more if that feels okay, right? But be mindful of your own body. Okay, the shoulders are really wanting to lift here. Lower them down. Contract your outer upper shoulders. Let's all take a deep breath in here. And as you exhale, lower the arms in front of you. Pause and then round your back. Tuck your tailbone, press your hands forward, and tuck the chin in. On an inhale, take your gaze up, lift and reach your arms back up. Maybe the elbows are bent. Exhale, start to reach your arms forward. Straighten the arms out as much as you can. Push them away from you and round your spine. One more time like that. Inhale, look up, lift and reach up. Exhale, round your back. Press the hands out away from the body. On your next inhale, look up, release your hands down, and then make fists with your hands and gently roll your wrists around while we let the shoulders relax. You might get some cracking and some popping. Make circles the other way. And then we're going to release, come up out of our seat. So go ahead and move your blanket, maybe underneath your knees if you like padding up your knees for table pose. If you don't need it, go ahead and place it off to the side of your mat, and we'll set up with our hands underneath the shoulders. Look underneath you and see that your knees are underneath your hips. We'll start with our toes tucked. Look back and spread the toes apart. Lift your heels up on top of the balls of your feet. Once you're all aligned, really spread the fingers wide. Press down through each of the fingertips, the tips of the thumbs, all the bases of the knuckles of each finger and the thumb, and then the pad of the thumb and the heel of the hand. Let's press everything down here. Now keep doing that on the left side. When you're ready, reach your right arm forward, pause, squeeze your outer hips in, and start by stepping your left foot back, ball of the foot on the ground. You can either stay here or lift the left leg up, heel about as high as the hip. Now with your left forearm, confidently hug in toward the midline of your mat, and even do that with your outer right hip. Squeeze in like you're hugging in toward the center. Okay, maintain that. Let's all take a breath in. On an exhale, draw the right elbow and the left knee toward each other. Inhale, and as you open up, pull the belly in, look forward slightly. Exhale, draw the elbow and the knee toward each other. Inhale and extend, left heel back. Exhale, elbow to knee one more time. Inhale, reach back out and pause, hold here. Still hugging the midline and feeling how that really assists in keeping our body strong and supported. Lengthen the tailbone back and draw the belly in all at once. One more breath to stretch. Start to lower the right hand and the left knee down. Pause here. Re-establish your foundation. Root the right hand into the mat. Feel the fingertips, the thumb tips, and all of the knuckles. And then reach your left arm forward. The wrist is about as high as the shoulder or about as high as it feels okay to lift. Spread the fingers wide. Before going any further, tone the outer right forearm as if you were trying to wrap it in toward the middle of your mat. Yeah? So outer forearm towards your inner forearm. And then squeeze your outer left hip in, kind of the same feeling that you would get if you had a block between your thighs and you were trying to squeeze it. And you keep that. Step the ball of the right foot back. Right away, check in with your spine. Right, engage the back leg, lift and tone the belly, and then either leave the right foot where it is or lift the right foot up. Heel about as high as the hip. Check in to feel that the knee is facing the ground. And let's start to engage all of the muscles of the body, toning here, feeling for that physical representation of confidence. Not too much, right? Just enough to feel strong. Let's take a big inhale. On an exhale, draw the elbow and the knee toward each other. Contract, slight rounding of the spine. Inhale, lengthen back out. Exhale, draw back in. Inhale to lengthen back out. Exhale, draw back in. Maybe the knee and the elbow touch. Inhale, lengthen out and pause. We're going to hold for 3 breaths. So while you're holding, breath is moving in and out of the nose, staying very conscious of our breath, while also maintaining a gentle hug toward the midline of the body. Stretch away from the hips. And then when you're ready, lower the left hand, lower the right knee. And now feel free to point your toes back. That might be a nice little stretch for the tops of the ankles. Keeping the outer ankles hugging in, spreading the toes still about as wide as you can. Okay, let's lower down the forearms, elbows right underneath the shoulders, palms together, interlace the fingers if that feels right. And we're going to do some cow and cat poses from here. So push down into the ground, engage both of your legs, and on your next inhale, lower the belly, lift up the hips, broaden the chest, lift your gaze. Exhale, start lifting the belly and the ribs up around your back. Let the head go. 2 more. Inhale, open the front of the body. Exhale, lift up around the spine, tailbone toward the ground. Inhale through the nose one more time, taking the back bend shape. Exhale, lifting up, rounding the spine, push the ground away. On an inhale, take your gaze forward. Start drawing the big toes in all the way to touch. Open your knees wide for child's pose. We'll reach the hips back on top of the heels or as close to the heels as possible. If that's not comfortable, you can always come up onto the tips or onto the toe pads. You can tuck your toes under as well. You can shift your hips more forward. Lengthen through both arms. Fingertips reaching toward the front of the mat. And I like to keep the hands a little bit wider than the shoulders, making space for our neck, making space in that upper shoulder area. And as a reminder, if this pose feels gentle to you, if this is a resting pose, you're more than welcome to take this anytime. You really don't have to wait for me to take this pose or to do anything. You are, in fact, in the comfort of your own home. Let's take one more breath here. Start to lift your gaze. See that the hands are still outer shoulder width distance apart. First fingers are pointing forward. Anchor the hands, lift your hips, and tuck the toes. Let's go to downward facing dog. And feel free to move around in your downward facing dog. Bend one knee, straighten the other leg, and then switch. Please press your palms flat down into the ground, using the tips of the fingers and thumbs to support, kind of like you're gripping into the mat. Strengthen both of your arms and roll the shoulders back. We'll keep moving for another couple of breaths. And then we'll come to stillness. About 6 inches of space between the feet. Head really just resting in between the arms. Notice if you're like looking all the way up towards your thighs or looking towards your thumbs, and relax the weight of the head. Now everyone bend your knees. Keep bending them so that you can pull your hips further back. And if this feels like you're able to get way more length in your spinal cord, please do this as much of the class as you need. Right? Having straight legs is not important. Our priority is the spine in downward facing dog. Now keep the energy in the hands and look forward. Inhale, shift forward, pausing in a plank pose. When the shoulders are over the wrists, pause, and if you need to, walk your feet back. Keeping the feet about this far away from your hands is also an option for your down dog, by the way. So we can kind of play around with our posture. Okay, let's start to lift the hips and press the hips back. This is a pretty long stance for down dog for some of us, so kind of just explore, right? You can walk your feet forward a couple of inches, bend the knees, lift your hips. You can also have a longer down dog. Makes more space between the hips and the shoulders. Whichever feels best. We can always adjust. Okay, let's start to work back into plank pose. Shift forward, shoulders over the wrists. When you get there, pause, lift your heels high over the balls of the feet. Push into the hands, push into the feet. Option to lower the knees to the ground. That's a great way to modify this shape. Okay, but please contract your legs, contract your arms, and then lift your hips, take it back. Downward facing dog. Steady breath in and out of the nose, staying with the breath as a way of connecting to staying conscious throughout our practice. And as we move, connecting to the strength that lives within the body as a way of connecting to a physical representation of our confidence. Okay, let's look forward one more time. Shift into plank, pausing at the top. Heels on top of the toes. Option to lower the knees down. Check in and make sure that the hips are not dropping toward the ground. Hips are not lifting in a down dog position. Right? The hips are steady. The hips are steady. We're pulling the belly button up, wrapping the outer hips back. Now broaden your upper chest. Look forward at the top of the mat. Take one more breath. And for now, let's just take the knees to the ground. Hug the elbows in and lower down for a count of 5, 4, 3, strong core, 2, 1, and then lower all the way to the ground. Point your toes back. Hug your outer legs in toward the midline of the mat while keeping the feet steady. And on your next inhale, use your upper back muscles to lift your heart. Draw the shoulders in and down the back. Hands are super light, using them very little. And then tuck the toes. Press down into the ground. We're going to go back up to plank pose. Use your knees if you need them. Use that as a modification for your plank and to support you on the way up. And we're going to come up on a count of 5. So take a deep breath in, puff up, and as you exhale, push down, hug the elbows in toward the body. 3, 2, 1. And from the top, go all the way back to downward facing dog. Okay, let's bend the knees, look forward, and walk the feet up to the hands. Pause at the top of the mat, set up in your forward fold. Feet about as wide as the hips, side to side. Spin the big toes to point slightly more forward. Bend your knees, fingertips down on the ground, and let the head go. Now you can bend your knees as much as you need to so that the fingertips meet the ground. If you've got blocks, place them underneath your hands if that feels better, if it feels needed. And notice the weight in your feet. Keep the heels steady, but shift some of the weight forward into the balls of the feet. Should feel like we really light up the backs of the legs here, so if that feels too much, bend the knees more. Hands go directly underneath the shoulders, really lightly, letting the top of the head go. Without lifting the feet, just press down into the ground or move your hands up to your shins. Lift your chest, pause halfway up, and really feel the belly and the ribs float in. On an exhale, let the head go, fold in. Again, inhale, come up halfway. Hands can stay on the ground, the blocks, or come up to the legs. Exhale, fold forward. Keep weight in the balls of the feet. One more time, breathe in, come up halfway and pause. Now engage the back of the body. We're going to hold here. Some of you are going to stay here with your fingertips on the blocks, the ground, or hands against the shins, the knees, or the thighs. Make sure it feels like you're using your legs. Okay, some of you are going to move into reaching the arms forward. As you reach the arms forward, biceps and ears parallel to one another, palms facing one another, fingers spread. Bending the knees more can absolutely help, but keep reaching the hips back without lifting the feet. We're going to hold for one more breath. Bend the knees more, take your hips back, and then inhale, come all the way up to stand. Engage your thighs at the top. Exhale, gather the palms, lower the thumbs in front of the chest. Pause in prayer. And then release the hands down to the sides of the body for mountain pose. Roll the shoulders back. Draw the navel in. And open the palms forward. Feel free to close your eyes. Checking back in with the breath. In and out of the nose as much as possible. Long, slow exhales, just as much as we're looking to deepen and fill with our inhales. From here, we're going to do a few progressing sun salutations. So follow along and modify as much as you need to. Okay, let's inhale to sweep the arms up toward the sky. As you exhale, bend the knees, bow forward, and place your fingertips on the ground or the blocks. With an inhale, come up halfway and pause. Feel free to straighten the backs of the legs more, but know that bending the knees is absolutely okay. On the exhale, fold and slide your hands back next to your heels. Use your blocks if you need them. Right foot stays where it is. Step your left foot back. Let's keep the feet a little wider, about as wide as the hips, which can help us with balance and steadiness and any hip tightness. Stack the right knee over the heel and lower the left knee down. Blanket beneath the knee if you'd like. Back toes will stay tucked. Press into the ground and engage your legs. Inhale, take the shoulders back, lift your arms up, Anjaneyasana. Keep moving your shoulders downward on the back of the body. Connect to your breath. Feel the energy of the legs hugging inward toward the midline of your mat without actually moving anything. Isometrically contract your outer shins in toward the inner shins, and then add that same engagement in the upper arms, in the lower arms, your forearms. You're hugging and contracting inward with your forearms. Let's take one more breath here. On your next exhale, lower the hands down to the ground. Start to plant your palms, lift the back knee, step back plank pose, pausing at the top of a push-up. Feel free to lower the knees to the ground. Take a breath in through your nose. Exhale, either lower the knees first or hug the elbows in at your side, slowly lowering, keeping the body engaged and coming all the way down to the ground. And then point your toes back, firm the legs. Inhale, lift your heart, Cobra Bhujangasana. Exhale, tuck the toes. Press up to downward facing dog. Use your knees as needed. As much or as little of a bend in your knees as you feel you need in order to get the hips back over the heels. Really connected to our breath today. Really connected to how much support there is in our body, how much there is here that is needed to get us in and out of any pose, holding any pose. We have all that we need, so may we move with confidence. You start to take your gaze forward, shift your hips slightly up, and step your left foot next to your left thumb. Let's set up our low lunge. Left knee above the heel again, just checking in with the alignment for this first one. Anchor the left foot, lower the back knee down, somewhere under or behind the hip with your back toes tucked. And then anchor yourself by physically pressing into the ground. Contract your legs. Add some confidence into this shape by hugging the outer shins in. That makes our legs feel steadier, and that strength becomes supportive. We feel more confident to inhale the arms up and overhead. Right, so continuing to keep this level of engagement while we move in mind and in body and of course in heart. Pull the inner thighs energetically toward each other. Draw the navel toward the spine. Lift your heart up. Begin to stretch. Lengthen your thighs forward and back. Lift up out of the sides of the body. Reach up and take one more breath. On the exhale, lower the hands. Lift the back knee and step forward. Uttanasana, forward fold. Shift weight into the balls of the feet. Unlock or bend the knees. Let's inhale to come up halfway. Hands to the shins, knees, or thighs if they're not on the ground. Exhale to fold. Keep the feet steady, bend the knees deeply. Inhale, rise, arms overhead. Exhale, palms together in front of the heart. 2 more times and we'll start to change up some of the options. On your next inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Exhale, bend the knees, widen the hips back and fold. Let the head go. Inhale, halfway lift. Contract the shoulders behind you. Exhale, fold. Take the fingertips back. This time leave your left foot where it is. Step your right foot straight back into a long high lunge this time. Okay, same alignment in the feet and in the legs as the first lunge, but check in with your back foot and let's lift the heel high on top of the toes, on top of the ball of the foot. You can always place the back knee down if you want to. Hey, listen to your body. Anchor both of your feet, steady the legs, lift the back thigh high as if someone were like actually lifting it with a strap, or maybe just setting something underneath the thigh bone so it's not dropping down. Keep that and hug the shins in toward the midline of the mat. While you do that, now inhale both arms up toward the sky. Just a few breaths here. Shoulders over the hips. And we'll bend the right knee a little bit, and that can help us kind of work into our hips, pelvis, and lower back. So if you're feeling any pressure there, bend the back knee, scoop the tailbone downward, and as much as you can with the tailbone scoop, straighten the back of the right thigh, straighten the back leg. Right hip is moving more forward, left hip is moving further back. And through that, we'll lengthen the legs, lengthen the arms, lengthen the spine. On an exhale, lower the hands down. Step your left foot back, pausing in plank pose, top of a push-up. Steady the arms and the legs. Take a breath in. Exhale slowly out of the nose as you lower down. You can pause on your knees, pause halfway down in Chaturanga Dandasana, or use the mat. And then everyone release. Point the toes back. Inhale, float the heart up. Please use your shoulder muscles, your back muscles, less or more than your hands. And then tuck the toes. Press up and back, downward facing dog. One more breath here. Okay, let's start to switch sides. Bend the knees a little bit. Lift your hips and shift slightly forward as you step your right foot up towards your right thumb. Take a moment to move your foot up as forward as you need to find your knee over your heel. Focus on your back foot for a moment. Lift the back heel high. Press down into the ball of the left foot. And then notice your left hip. Please draw the left hip point down and lift the left thigh higher. Okay, let's maintain everything that we just did. Contract through your legs by hugging in to create that feeling of confidence in the legs. Outer shins in toward the middle of the mat. While you're doing that, inhale, send both arms up. Your lunge can be as deep as you want it to be, as deep as feels right. Your right thigh does not have to be lined up with the floor or the mat, right? Just find your breath. And wherever you are, keep toning the outer shins in. Draw the left hip a little further forward. Pull the right hip back and down. Bending the back knee can help us again find a little bit less pressure in the lower back if we're feeling pressure in the lower back. Right, straightening through the back leg as much as we can. Let's stretch both legs long. Lift up out of the hips. Take one more breath. And exhale, lower the hands. Bend the back knee, step forward. Uttanasana, forward fold. Bending the knees, lifting the hips. Shift weight into the balls of the feet. With an inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold in. Bend the knees, stay rooted down. Inhale, sweep both arms up toward the sky. Exhale, gather your palms together in front of your heart. One more time. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, soften the knees and fold forward. Inhale to float up halfway and pause. Exhale to fold. Bend the knees a little bit, move the hands back. Right foot stays where it is. And now we're going to step the left foot back into warrior one. So stack the right knee over the heel. Keep moving your left foot back as much as you need to do that. And then step your left foot up about 2 inches and out to the left about 2 inches. Right, your feet can be wide. They don't have to be lined up. Giving yourself space at the hips. Keeping the right knee over the heel. Spin the left toes in and up toward the top left corner of the mat, so like 45-ish degrees. And root the inner and outer edges of both of the feet down. Tone your left thigh, kneecap lifts. And through the strength in your legs, inhale, sweep the arms up toward the sky. And you can slide your back foot back as much as feels right. You can also shorten your stance. Please follow along with what your body is letting you know, right? Especially paying attention to if the feet are uprooting, the outer edge of the left foot or the inner edge of the left foot tend to get more or less weight depending on where we are in our body. Keep lifting through the left thigh. Tone inward with the outer hips to steady them. Draw the left hip point forward, draw the right hip back. Maybe begin to bend your knee more. As you float the arms up, lift your chest, maybe look up, one more breath. On an exhale, lower down. Hands to the mat for plank pose. Step the left foot back and then step the right foot back. Press both hands and feet into the ground and feel for your shoulders. Draw them in and onto the back of the body. Full breath in through the nose. Exhale, either lower the knees first, elbows in, either way as you lower down slowly, pausing in Chaturanga Dandasana, the knees are the mat. Inhale, let's lower the body. Inhale for Cobra. Exhale, tuck the toes, press up and back, downward facing dog. Please lift the bottom ribs up away from the ground. Broaden the upper shoulders. And then switching sides in our Warrior One, look forward, shift slightly up as you step your left foot up next to your left thumb. Okay, lunge your front knee forward, anchor down through the left foot, and then pivot the right heel down. I like to step my foot out a little bit further, so I tend to go for a wider Warrior One. There are definitely ways to take this where your heels are right in line with each other. That doesn't quite work out for my hips. My hips are just a little tighter than that. So I'm going to keep my Warrior One on a slightly wider side. And then turn the right toes in and up, about 45 degrees. And then please listen to your body. If you've got any like residual ankle stuff going on, if you rolled your ankle or sprained it recently, it may or may not feel very comfortable to turn your foot at this angle. So turn in as much as you can. Make sure that the feet are rooted, and you can always adjust. Okay, let's bend the left knee forward, tone the upper thighs, lift the arms, breathe in and out of the nose. Press down through the feet. Contract your legs in toward each other, side to side and front to back. Tone your forearms in toward the midline. Drop the shoulders down. 2 more breaths. Roll weight toward the inner edge of your left foot and the outer edge of your right foot. Straighten the back leg and bend your left knee forward. On your next exhale, hands to the ground. This time pivot the back heel, free step up, forward fold. Rock weight into the balls of the feet. Inhale, halfway lift, shoulders on the back. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, gather both palms, prayer. Let's reconnect in mountain pose. Hands at your sides, turn the palms forward. Gather the shoulder blades on the back. Drop the tailbone down. Heels are heavy, top of the head is lifting. Just a couple of breaths, feeling into our breath, still moving steadily in and out of our nose. From here, I'm going to turn to face you. We're going to move into a little bit of standing balance and a few more standing poses. So just look down and make sure that your feet are still lined up underneath you. Shift your weight into your left foot. Keep the kneecap unlocked. Tone the upper thigh. Start to lift your right knee up about as high as your hip. Flex the foot, toes curl up. Now here, please tone your outer left shin, hug it in to create a little bit more steadiness, confidence building in the lower leg. Place your left hand to the outside of your right thigh. Carefully start to twist. You can place your right hand on your hip. Maybe the right arm reaches all the way back. Notice your shoulders, drop them down the back of the body. Spread the fingers of the right hand and soften the side of your waist. Instead of compressing and really contracting more here, relax the right side of the waist. Pull the navel toward the spine. Maybe look back at your right thumb. Okay, stay where you are. Take one more breath in and out of your nose in your twist. And as you come out of the twist, we're going to move into a twisted lunge on the mat. So we're going to transition, start to untwist. Carefully step your left or your right leg all the way back in space. Lower the right hand down underneath your shoulder, and then lift your left arm up toward the sky and twist. Adjust your feet as needed. Lift the back heel really high. Pull your outer shins energetically in toward the midline of your mat. And send your hips slightly up toward the sky. Belly in as you lean back and stretch. On your next breath, lower your left hand. Start to drop the right knee down to the ground. You can point your toes back if that feels okay. We're going to walk the left foot over to the left edge of the mat for low lizard. If you've got blocks, you can move them in underneath your forearms to lower down a little bit more in the shape. Lower doesn't mean better, deeper doesn't mean better, and I'll probably say that in every single class. So as you take your postures and you move into them, really spend a few breaths in the shape that you're in, whatever variation you're in. Let's strengthen the back of the body, open the heart by toning the shoulder blades in and melting the heart forward. We've been connecting a lot today to this principle of engaging the outer shins, especially when we're using our feet, right? And we're using our legs as the base of the pose. We can do that in any pose, right? But I want you to feel for it here. And what that might help us feel is that the inner edge of the left foot is actually rooted, as opposed to kind of opening out, which we may or may not be doing very consciously. So engage the outer shin, wrap it in, hug the midline, and keep the left foot rooted. One more breath here. Okay, let's start to walk up onto the hands if we're on the forearms. Move your blocks away from you. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. Look at your right pinky tip and take a big step up to the outside of your right hand. You'll be in a big, wide stance. And then adjust your feet so that the toes are pointing forward, maybe even like 5 to 10 degrees inward. Lift up through the balls of the feet or the soles of the feet. Bend your knees. Once your knees are bent and the tops of the shins go forward, press your hips back, like literally push your thigh bones back. And then move your hands to the back of the body. Interlace all of the fingers. Start to let your head go without lifting the feet. In fact, tone your outer shins again, hug them in and feel how that helps you stay rooted through the feet. Start contracting your inner shoulder blades, gather them together. Start to gather your forearms in toward each other. And then start to straighten your arms, reach your knuckles back and maybe up toward the sky while still keeping your elbows unlocked, right? Still keeping your elbows unlocked. Allow your arms to move forward as much as feels right. No forcing. One more breath, breathing into the chest and out of the chest. And then very gently release your hands. Looking down at the ground, let's start to heel toe the feet in toward each other, all the way together if possible. Or you can leave some space in between them, that's okay. Spread apart your toes. Use your blocks under your hands if you need them or want them. And you're gonna keep your fingertips where they are and start to lift up onto the balls of your feet. Again, blocks under the hands if that feels needed, especially as you come up higher and we shift the weight forward. And keep the heels really high, bend the knees. Start to lower your hips down on top of your heels. Open your knees out wide, turning the soles of the feet more in toward each other now. And we're gonna set up for crow pose. And we're gonna spend just a minute or two working into this space. And by the way, if you're catching this class and you're interested, there is a breakdown of this one particular pose. There's an entire class just on this if you kind of scroll through the library, if you're interested in that. Okay, let's go ahead and set ourselves up here. I'm going to place my palms down, outer shoulder width distance apart. Start to lift my hips back up. Start to straighten my legs out just a bit. And I'm going to tuck my triceps underneath my front shin blades. Start shifting the weight forward into the tips of the fingers and thumbs. And as you're ready, bending the elbows over the wrists. Maybe lift one foot, maybe lift the other. Contract the shoulder blades in and onto the back, and then find that confidence. We've practiced it in a few different shapes, hugging in toward the middle. Do that in your forearms and feel how that makes the base of the thumb pad steadier. Reach your sit bones back, pull up the belly, and send your heart forward. One more breath wherever you are. And then separate your feet, lift your hips and fold. Soften the knees, clasp opposite elbows. Feel free to nod your head yes, maybe shake your head no. And then release your hands, heel toe your feet in underneath your hips. Bend your knees gently. Place your hands against your back, bend your knees, and inhale to come all the way up. We'll come back up to stand and we'll switch sides in our last round of standing postures. So let's begin by shifting the weight into the right foot this time. I like to start with my hands on my hips, but you can start with your hands wherever you want. Start floating your left knee up, about as high as the hip. It doesn't have to go any higher. Flex the toes up. Okay, from here, navel continues to move toward the spine. Feel for all four corners of the right foot, ball of the foot, separated by two corners, big toe mound, pinky toe mound, inner heel at the bottom, outer heel at the bottom. And we're going to keep that steady. Move the right hand to the outside of the left thigh. The left hand can stay on the hip, or you can reach back with your left arm. And as you do this, notice your right shin and contract the outer right shin, which if we're not really used to it, right, that outer right shin space, consciously engaging it, might make us feel like we're getting thrown off a little bit. Just play with that engagement. Relax the sides of the waist, especially on the left. Maybe twist and look back toward your left hand. Now we're going to move right into our twist here, our lunge twist. So start to untwist. Start to shoot your left foot all the way back. Lower your left hand down and sweep your right arm up. Twist to the right. Adjust your back foot, maybe slide it back until you're on the very ball of the foot. Move your left hand just underneath your shoulder, and as you twist, float your right wrist above your shoulder. Anchor your feet, hug in with your legs toward the middle of the mat, contract your inner shoulder blades, and start to stretch your legs long. One more breath. Inhale to look down. Lower your left knee and start moving your right foot over to the right edge of your mat for lizard lunge, low lizard lunge. Okay, so you can move your left knee back if you've got space. And you can stay on your hands, or you can move down to your forearms. And you can use your blocks if, as you come down to the forearms, the ground doesn't make sense for the body today. Breathing in and out of the nose. We're still here consciously, right? We're not just going through the motions, which is a really big part of getting ourselves to stay super integrated with whatever we're doing. And autopilot is like this thing that is so easy to fall into, especially these days, right? There's a lot that we don't need to think about, but that we often participate with, like social media is one example. where we may not be the most conscious while we're doing it, but we are still doing it. And we're still somehow connecting to this thing, but the connection isn't maybe quite as deep as if we were really connecting with more consciousness, more awareness. All right, so in our yoga practice, we have an opportunity to do that, to strengthen our awareness, to strengthen our focus, our attention. And I don't know about you, but when I am paying more attention to something, it makes me feel more confident in what I'm doing. Like, for example, moving, or especially climbing. Right? You have to pay attention to what you're doing. And if it's not climbing and it's something else, right? We probably still want to be pretty conscious for whatever we're doing if we want it to be fruitful, or if we want the experience to be full. If we want to feel like we have all of our energy working toward that thing, and how that can lead to and support our levels of confidence. And we can feel it in the body. In our practice today, we're engaging through the body. We're hugging in a particular direction. We're hugging in toward the midline, drawing the energy in toward ourselves. Now we're going to inhale to come back up. Move your blocks off to the side of the mat. Using your palms, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. Step up toward the left pinky. And then heel toe your feet all the way in toward each other. One more round of crow pose, which you can take the same way that we entered the first time, or you can take it from here. Now, for those of you who find it more challenging to place the knees on top of the triceps, you can practice stepping on top of one of your blocks, and I'll offer that as an option here. We'll be here for just a few more breaths. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, elbows on top of the wrists, and they bend, yeah, they bend. Elbows move back, forearms hug in. Keep breathing deeply. Contract through your shins inward, and kind of feel how with your forearms hugging in and your shins hugging in, there's a little bit more squeezing and a little bit more directed energy. And then you can push the ground away. Take one more breath. Okay, from here you can either step to plank, hop to chaturanga, or you can walk back to down dog, set the feet down. That's what I'm going to do. Let's move all the way back to down dog. Take a good few breaths here. Really filling ourselves up, lengthening ourselves out. And then when you're ready, please step your right foot right in between your thumbs. Set up a lunge. And then lower the left heel down. Walk both hands into the middle of your mat and pivot the right foot so that it's parallel to the right edge of your mat. We'll take a wide forward fold, Prasarita Padottanasana. Big toes turn ever so slightly inward, not a lot. Knees are unlocked, and the weight is heavy through the heels and the balls of the feet. Feel for that, notice that. And you can take any variation of this position. Right, so you can take a variation where you're up a little bit higher. You can use your blocks. Maybe hands are on the ground, fingertips are on the ground. Maybe for some of you, you're folded more than that and your forearms are on blocks or the ground. You can even place your head on the ground. For those of you who practice headstand, that's an option here if you want it. Last chance to do something more exciting. So if you're feeling like going upside down, please feel free to do that. Or more upside down, I should say, because you're upside down when your head is already hanging below your heart. Keep weight at the inner and the outer edges of the feet. Tone your thighs and keep moving your hips back without losing the weight in the balls of the feet. One more breath. Using your hands, gently press yourself up. Walk your hands over to your right foot. Pivot the right toes to point toward the front of your mat. Left heel lifts. Lower the left knee and come into pigeon on the right side. By walking your right foot to the left edge of your mat until it's all the way over, and you can lower your right knee down to the right. Feel free to move your right heel towards your body. Spin the left kneecap to face down. Left hip point faces down. Come down onto your forearms. Use a block under your forehead if you'd like. I love doing that because I don't have to carry the weight of my head anymore. And sometimes lowering the head any more than this just doesn't feel right. So if that's you today, this is totally fine. Checking in with our hips, making sure one hip isn't all the way down on the mat while the other one is lifted. So if we're putting more weight in one hip versus the other, go ahead and check in with your body and just see that that's not happening. And I know that the way that it feels may not translate to what it looks like. So, all right, checking in both ways. Right, if you're leaning over to one side like this, it's not necessarily a wrong shape to be in. It's not gonna really like hurt you, but less that it's not quite the pigeon position that we're in. Just a little bit of a different experience. And we're gonna hold here for just one more breath. And then let's start to walk up onto the hands, tuck the back toes. You can take a down dog. Shake out whatever you'd like. And then guide your left shin forward. And we'll go into pigeon from here. Left leg at as much of an angle as needed, and the right kneecap is facing the ground. Right hip point is facing the ground. Allow yourself to get into the shape and maybe relax a little bit more than we have most of the class. Giving yourself some space by just checking in with the elbows, being a little further forward if that feels okay. Backing off if needed. Let's take 2 more breaths here. And then begin to tuck the back toes, walk up onto the hands, shift back. Let's take 1 more down dog. Shake out whatever you need to, move in any way that you'd like. And look forward, shift up and lower the knees down onto the ground for table pose. Let's do just a few rounds of our cow and our cat. Line up your body, tuck the toes, press the palms down. And inhale when you're ready, lowering the belly, opening the chest. Exhale, point the toes back, lift the belly and the ribs, round your spine. Inhale, tuck the toes, open the front body. Exhale, point the toes, lift the front body. One more time, inhale, tuck the toes, draw the shoulder blades in on the back. Exhale, point the toes, press down, round your spine. Inhale, come back to neutral and pause, retuck your toes. Inhale the right arm up toward the sky. Exhale, thread your right arm underneath you. Reach to the left and lower your head. Right shoulder away from the ear. Steady your hips and either leave your left hand where it is or lengthen your left arm forward. Pressing down into your left palm. Move your hip slightly to the right. Left hip goes back a bit, lengthening the side of the body. And step your left hand back. Inhale, come out of the twist. Plant your right palm. Inhale your left arm up. Exhale, thread your left arm under. Press the outside of your left arm onto the ground. You can twist more by leaning back, or you can just relax where you are. Right hand can reach forward. Wiggle your hip slightly to the left and pull the right hip back in space. Step the right hand back. Inhale, come out of the twist. Let's start to make our way onto our backs. Meet me in a reclined position. And when you get there, start with your feet flat. Point your knees up toward the sky. Wiggle your hips until they are flat on the mat. There's a flat bone at the base of your spine called your sacrum, and I want you to feel for that to be flat down, which means that there will be a teeny tiny curve at the lower back for maybe most of us. It's okay if that isn't there, but if you can focus on the hips being flat down, right, that may create a curve that we might not think is actually in existence. But, right, everyone is different, every body is different, so just listen to yours. Center the weight of the hips, walk the shoulders in, back of the head flat, and we'll relax here. And from here, we're going to hug the right knee into the chest. Start to straighten the left leg forward. I like to float the heel away from the ground, but you're more than welcome to put the heel down. Lots of different ways to do this. Okay, let's inhale, take a breath. As you exhale, round your back, take your forehead towards your knee. I mean, they don't have to touch, but they might. And then inhale to come out of that really deep, tight position. And then open your right knee out to the right. Use your right hand over your shin. Anchor the left hip down. Make sure your left hip isn't lifting and you're not tipping over. Doesn't matter how far the right knee opens. Push the left heel away from you. And then draw the right knee in, take a twist, hips to the right a few inches, right knee over to the left. Anchor both of your shoulders down on the ground. Either look up, straight up at the sky, not behind you. Maybe look to the right. And then let's inhale to come back to the middle, center your hips, and plant the right foot, hug the left knee in. Push your right foot into the ground, push your heel into the ground just until it feels like your hips are about to lift. Notice how that helps you kind of stay out of completely rounding your lower back. And try to maintain that so that the sacrum stays flat. Reach your right heel forward, placing the heel on the ground or keeping the right leg slightly lifted. Curl the toes back. Take a deep inhale and push your belly up like you're taking a back bend. Exhale, push your back down. Lift your head, forehead to knee. Inhale to release. Place your head down, right hand on top of the right thigh. Open the left knee out to the left. Right hip stays steady. Feel for that. And just check in if you're really trying to pull your knee up and that's happening so much that you actually can't get your right thigh down on the ground. Check in for that too, because that can happen, right? If I pull my left knee all the way into my chest, that immediately pulls my right leg up off the ground because of the way that they're connected and my tightness in the hips, which can happen to a lot of us. So if maybe the left knee goes forward more, all of a sudden I can get the right thigh anchored to the ground with more ease. Let's inhale the left knee in, scoot your hips to the left a few inches, stack your left hip over the right into your twist, your supine twist. Wiggle both of the shoulder blades onto the ground and don't worry about your left knee meeting the ground. And on the right foot, the right toes are turned to the right. I'm not trying to keep them pointed toward the sky. Just let the whole leg twist, or the whole body twist, and the right leg turn to the right side. Let's take one more breath. Inhale, come back to the middle, center your hips. And then lift up your knees, turn them out, open the soles of the feet toward the sky. Happy baby. And same thing here. If you pull your knees in super deep and reach your hands up really high, that may work out, but that may also be what can create the lifting of the hips, rounding of the back, and feeling of compression in the hip flexors. So it's okay if the knees are not quite as close to your shoulders, and it's okay if your hands are away from the feet to help us get into a shape that breathes a little better. Relax your shoulders. One more breath here. And then let's start to gently release the legs. Let's take up some space as we set up our resting pose. It's time for Shavasana. Legs out a little wider, arms out a little wider, and props helping you into your resting position if that feels needed or wanted here. Check in with your body as you close your eyes and begin to work your way into rest. Everything that we've done in our practice today, it's not going anywhere. And giving ourselves an opportunity to slow down, to rest, to recover, to pause can strengthen our ability to utilize everything that we've learned. Please let the eyelids be heavy here. Scanning the body once again. And just imagining as you bring your attention to your body. Just envisioning light. Like a white light. Notice this white light turn on. Notice it at the tip of the right thumb, the tip of the right first finger, tip of the middle finger, tip of the ring finger, tip of the pinky finger, center of the palm of the right hand. Notice it traveling up the right wrist, up the forearm to the elbow, up the upper arm into the right shoulder. Moving into the chest, into the heart. And the light lights up your heart and travels across the left shoulder, the left bicep and tricep, the left elbow, the left forearm, the left wrist, the left tip of the thumb, left first finger, left middle finger, left ring finger, left pinky finger, left palm of the hand. Notice this light at the top of the head, lighting over the head and the face, hips, over the throat, moving down each vertebra in your spine and over the torso, outlining the body. Notice this white light surrounding the hips and shining brightly through the hips in the pelvis bowl, illuminating the left thigh, the left knee, the left shin, the left ankle, the left big toe, the left middle toe, the left ring finger toe, the left pinky toe, the left sole of the foot. Notice this light at the right big toe, the right middle toe, or second toe, the right middle toe, the right ring finger toe, and the right pinky toe tip. The right sole of the foot. Travel this light through the right ankle, up the right shin, to the right knee, up the right thigh, meeting the white light already in the hips. You are now filled with and surrounded by this white light. Allow yourself to bathe in this. Allow this to be the light that supports you in relaxing every part of your body. Please feel free to stay here as long as you'd like. Before we completely come out of Shavasana, please place one hand over your belly and one hand over your chest, over your heart. Please let out your next exhale completely, sinking the belly all the way down, emptying out. And then inhale through the nose fully, swelling the belly, lifting up through the heart. And then exhale out of the mouth. Completely exhaling until you have no air left. And we'll do that again. Inhaling through the nose. And then blowing out of pursed lips, exhaling fully. One more time. Inhale through the nose completely. Exhale slowly out of the mouth. Come back to a natural breath. Start to reach your arms up and back, lengthen. Wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers. And start to step the feet back, bending your knees. Roll to one side, pausing there for a moment and just letting your body be really heavy. Maybe noticing anything that feels different. And then pressing through the hands and the arms down into the ground, please come back up to sit. And let's meet in an easy cross-legged position. And sit up tall. Invite your palms together in front of your heart, taking a moment one last time to recenter, to reconnect, and to connect to a symbol of thanks and a symbol of gratitude. May we continue to move consciously. May we continue to move confidently, both on and off of the mat. May that assist us in growing to our fullest and expanding to our most rich. Let's close our practice today with the sound of one Om together. Please exhale out of the nose first. Inhale through the nose. Let's bow the head down. Thank you so much for joining me for today's practice. If you have any questions about anything that we did today, if you have a comment about what you've experienced, or you just want to share something, if you're unsure about something that you felt, please don't hesitate to reach out. Use the comment section, leave your questions there, and I'll do my best to connect and we can talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about regarding our practice. My name again is Sam, and I hope that you feel good. Let me know what you need, and I hope to see you for the next one. Have a really great rest of your day.